Good, good afternoon, San Carlos. As you can see behind me right there, the Canadian flag and my red gate. And I'm near a large coconut tree and a light post on Block 1, Barangay 1, San Carlos, St. Vincent. So San Carlos is the name of the city. I thought I would do this video because many of you aren't going to get to watch the second part of a video I did with Sunshine Shoulders because it's for members only. He tried to put it public, and of course he just got so many keyboard warrior hater extraordinaires. So much so, in fact, that I even got texts from people, customers from Gensan that I haven't heard from since I left Gensan, asking me how things were and was I okay and why wouldn't I come back to Gensan, and pretty much everything but outright offering to throw some assistance my way. Right now, I don't like to ask for assistance. The idea on that second video was kind of Sunshine Shoulders that, hey, supporters will throw you a few dollars here and there, and a few dollars add up to many dollars given enough people, right? So, and when we talk many dollars, I'm about $300 short from opening up the bar. I showed the location because I have to go to immigration tomorrow, so all three of tomorrow's blogs are going to be about that experience, the getting up early, catching a bus, traveling up to Bacala, dealing with the immigration, and I am, if I have enough budget, going to at least buy a few packages of spices and a few cans of red beans so I can at least do some chili here. Because I plan to open no matter what. I don't really have a choice. I've run out of money. So if I don't open, then I stand zero chance of winning. And of course, my version of winning is much more different than the average expat over here who wants to have, unlimited everything. I'm not looking to be rich here. As I've explained to other local expats, I just want to pay my end. I just want to have my rent paid, have food, the basics, right? I'm happy to live like the locals. I don't think it's that bad a lifestyle. Now, I still adamantly think I'm doing the right thing. I mean, the idea of sitting around suffering in the West, aging out in the West, eating their cancer-ridden, cancer-coated foods, dealing with all the junkies everywhere. No way. I'd rather deal with creatures like this. Look at that adorable little face. Yeah. Hey. So, yeah, it does suck that I've run out of money and that I overestimated how much more expensive San Carlos would be than General Santos. And it's also really shitty that the guy I had trusted down in General Santos to hold my equipment and everything lost it all. Because, I was doing okay there. It was getting better. And I really, really appreciate the folks who shouted out to me today from Gensan saying, Jimmy, what's going on? Because part of the hate from the haters on Cal's channel, on Sunshine Shoulders channel, is they don't believe me. They just think I'm full of shit. Some sort of scammer, con artist or whatever. And I'm not. I mean, the reason why I'm not asking for money, here's the thing. I'm not going to say no if a partner comes along and says, hey, here's $1,000, but call me a partner, or here's $1,000, or here's $500. I want to eat it off. Done in a heartbeat. Because I used that trick twice in General Santos to keep going after I opened, where I had expats who pretty much bought like $100 worth of prepaid food. And the one guy, he would come in for chili every week, grab with his own bowl with a lid, a big bowl, to take home a 5 or 6 portion. And he was happy just to work the debt off. For him, like many of the expats here, $100 is nothing. They throw that away on street girls. They throw that away donating crap to people who will never give it back. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm asking for a hand up. And I'm not even really asking. I'm definitely indicating that I wouldn't say no. But that's just because I have expenses here, responsibilities here. I have a baby. I have a woman who quit her job to be a mom. Now, she's happy to go back as soon as the baby's on solid food. She even went back for 2 days. My first 2 days back here, like I didn't even get a day off with her. She immediately went back to work the day I got back. So she's not a lazy woman. She loves her job. She had it for 3 years. But the baby's on a boob. So there's no way I could just, you know, have the kid scream and cry all day. And we're not really, I don't believe in formula, especially, you know, now you know all what goes on in the formula market. I mean, China fills it with chemicals and sawdust and things like that, and I just not taking that risk. Just like I don't want my baby drinking from plastic bottles full of breakdown petroleum products and chemicals that give them autism. And maybe that's not true, but you know what? I'm not taking the chance. I don't play Russian roulette either, even if I know I got you know, only 1 chance in 6 of dying. Just common sense, right? So, and people say, oh, you're playing Russian roulette over there, Jimmy. These haters. None of my friends are. Well, 1 or 2 friends are actually been kind of assholey lately. I don't know what the problem is there, but especially when they've come to various enterprises over here and had a great time. So they know firsthand how, fuck, I was trying to avoid this stupid guy and his bike. Like, honestly, I'm going to have to pause this here, folks. Actually, I won't pause it, because this is a great example of something you're going to see in the Philippines. This is like an old-fashioned ice cream truck. It just wanders around blaring its horn, selling bread, fresh bread. So this is, they'll go up and down the neighborhoods, and the ladies come out of the woodwork and buy things right off them. So it's just another way that you see ingenious marketing ploys over here. Now in the West, people would hate on that because, oh, they're loud in my neighborhood, oh, they're beeping horns. Oh. That's why I left the West, folks. Because the people over there don't have any real issues or real worries, so they just complain and whine about everything. Yeah, I don't have any desire to live amongst a bunch of Karens. I don't know what Kevin is the fake name, I guess, for men that are like Karens. And it's just an abundance there because of the first world issue, but I don't want to get into that. Let's talk about my real issues of what's here. I'm now away from the sound so we can talk again. But it's really like this. It doesn't take much. I just came with nothing yet again, just like I did the first time. And the real reason behind Sunshine's video in the beginning was, sure, you know, I'm a new guy and I've been watching him for years, and I reached out to him saying, hey, I'm actually in your town, I want to do your show. But the real thing was that I told him how I came here with next to nothing, $1,600. And I have one friend who's all, oh, why didn't you mention I sent you some money? Listen, when you support my show, my cartoon, like Red Bull did, I don't take that money and buy liquor and rent with it. It actually goes to the artists and the sound mixers to create the show, the cartoon, which now I haven't done anything in a year. So that project is super stalled because I couldn't come up with an extra 5K this summer. If I had sold my boat, I would have finished the show. Once I finish the show, it goes to the streamer. The streamer pays me a nice big giant chunk of money, and then I'm just like the rest of the Westerners over here. I'm doing just fine. Now, does that mean I'm not going to have a bar if all of a sudden I get the show done? No. As people who know me, I'm a workaholic. I cannot be one of these guys who just sits over here and does nothing with his life but drink and socialize. I like to drink and socialize, but I need a purpose. I need something to do. I need something that has a result at the end of the day. Now, a bar, sure, I'm not getting rich on it, but hello. But it gives me something to do. It gives me a reason to get up on time, go get supplies, you know, make sure I unlock for the staff if I have a staff. So, I mean, there is a reason behind my desire beyond just financial means. You know, when I have the show done, I'm not going to need the money, and I will be traveling to other countries, but probably I'll be opening up even more small bar restaurants just to give Westerners, expats, a fun place to go and hang that they know is going to be cool and fun, where they can watch live sports in real time, and where they can get Western quality and quantity sized meals from a clean kitchen. I can't stress that enough. Half of the Westerners I've met get super sick within their first 2 to 3 weeks here. be it from drinking the water, getting ice in a cup that's made with dirty water. I make all my ice in all my spots out of ice cube trays from bottled water. I'm just not taking any chance with my clients, right? So it's kind of that a lot of these Westerners who are patrons, like I said, some of them, like I said, had to write me out of the blue, like and appreciate is that they know they're not going to get sick when they eat my food. They also know that when they buy a burger and fries from me, it's made from real potatoes, not frozen. And the burger's made with real beef that's never been frozen. It's finger thick and bigger than the bun. You don't get that here in the Filipino places. There's a great place here called Mr. C's here in San Carlos. He's not a sponsor of the video, but it's an okay food, right? So I don't mind mentioning him. But his burger is not paper thin like Angel Burger, but it's not made with real beef. It's not, it comes from a processed patty, right? They don't do things like that here. They just don't. Same with like Italian foods. I haven't been to the Italian food place, but I am going to check it out. But like, I make my own sauce. I make my own cannolis. I make my own raviolis if I have a press. You know what I mean? So it's just, same with pierogies. When I did them for the few times I do them in General Santos, I just do them myself. I'm putting in my own stuff, and it's awesome. Even in the West, you can't find homemade pierogies very much anymore because everybody is buying frozen bags or preforms and cooking them up for you. Now, it's fine. If you are McDonald's, sure, I don't expect a humongous franchise to be making everything from scratch and right away like that. However, if you only have a few locations, why can't you? Why don't you? You got the staff, you got the time. You don't got the staff, well, if you're in Canada, that's because you didn't advertise well enough. Because the government in Canada will throw you a bunch of foreign workers for pennies on the dollar if you want. Ask Tim Hortons about that. But no, it's one of those things where I look at it as, over here in the Philippines, yeah, I'm going to teach them my ways. I'm going to teach them how to make authentic foods. So that each of my stores, be it a franchise location or one that I'm actually running, does it the same way, and it'll always be that high quality. Like for me, I do portioning with scales. They don't do that here. So your burger, if I say it's going to be, 8 ounces, 9 ounces, it's always 8 ounces, it's always 9 ounces. It's not, depending on if it's a small Filipino hand making the ball or if it's one of my big Western hands making the ball, right? So just things like that make it where I know there's a thriving market over here. If I set it up, if I build it, the old baseball of dreams, a field of dreams quote, build it and they will come. I just need to get open over here. And, the fact that I'm down from so little from what I need to open means it shouldn't be a hard sell. If I really was a scammer, like, people blogging and talking on Sunshine's channel, I wouldn't be asking. I'd have. There are hundreds and one scams over here. Some of them, if you put a smart guy like me behind them, oh my goodness, I'd be rich in no time. I have a really strict moral code, and being someone who considers myself mostly Buddhist, I believe in karma. So for me, it's all about, what would I want to be the case for me if it was me working in the situation, right? So I wouldn't want to be ripped off. I wouldn't want to, get involved in that. And what happens too, at least in my particular case, is I look at it as these, oh, this poor old dog. Hello, puppet. I can't pet you. You look too sick. But I feel sorry for you. Anyways, so it's one of these things where, even the Filipino foods that I make, I do them from scratch. I don't buy the chicken pre-cooked and shredded for my pastil. A lot of places do that, even in Gensan. The lady who owns the park in Gensan showed me how to do it from scratch the way she does it. And I changed a few things. I didn't want to copy her exact recipe. Like I put a little bit of green pepper in. I put a little bit of garlic in. Things that they don't do in theirs. But I just find it tastes a little better. And I give a bigger spoon. So it's just things like that, right? So for me, I with the franchising idea, like I said, I've had at least 3 different Westerners just in this trip contact me about, hey, I'd like to do that, what you're doing there, here. By all means, if you're, and I've said this in other videos, if you are a Westerner who would like to have your own little spot here, yeah, there are a whole bunch of rules, and it's difficult if you're going to do it by yourself. But since most of the guys come over here, and within a 6-month time latch on to a Filipina, foolishly even marry them mostly, then hey, you've got somebody who is a local who you can put a business in. And at least if you married her, one of the benefits is she can't run away as easy with your money. But they can still get you deported. Like my quote-unquote friend down in Jensen, I mean, he's with a woman who has openly went to the police and made up lies about him. Threatens to get him deported. I mean, I have recordings of her jumping out of a moving vehicle in front of police so she could get him in trouble. Yet he is still choosing to marry that person. And I'm like, he's not ugly. He's not Danny DeVito. No offense, Danny. You know, you're an awesome guy. I love you. You're top shelf. But you know that you're a short guy who's not necessarily the most attractive. That being said, this guy's tall, good-looking guy. You know, no reason to have to settle like that. But they do. And so because, you know, you might be in the same boat, or maybe you're in the boat where you have a Filipina. That's what this was all about. I don't want to tangent off here. I do that too much. But 5,000 USD, you're opening up a full restaurant here. That's buying all the equipment, all the dishes, you're opening stock, your renovations. You can't buy a good commercial fridge back home for that. And yeah, you're not going to get rich. I hate to quote this guy because I think he's such a fucking moron. But many people who watch my channel, who watch other channels over here, will know of Jim's Philippine Adventures, or Jim the Simp, or whatever he's called. I hate that we share a name. Now he's on the run, I guess, because he's got a case over here from when a bunch of thugs decided to beat up him and his kid, stepkid. And, but he put tens of thousands of dollars into a laundromat and a convenience store, and then he gave up on it in 6 months. And all the locals, including his women and her family, just cleaned him right out. And he's a sucker. He's still with her. Still trying. It's like, what are you doing, bro? He goes home to America too. So once he left the country, he should have just stayed gone. Like, there's no reason whatsoever for him to be that foolish. But you know, and she's not even that good looking. That's the other thing. It's like, what, bro? Now neither is he. He's a juice monkey guy, and older. But you know, and I used to have the philosophy that people meet their matches. You know, people, you know, 5s meet 5s, 6 meet 6s, you know. And when you don't have that equal ratio, that's when you have a lack of balance in the relationship, where all of a sudden, you know, one is the dominant partner, and abuse of the various natures happen. So, in my particular case, I will always suffer that, I guess, because I come to the table with way too much skills and knowledge and experiences. So even compared to other Westerners, I mean, you know, I've done it all. You know, I've worked internationally, I've raised a family already, I've started dozens of businesses, and I don't keep starting new ones because they fail. I know there's going to be keyboard warriors that jump all over that. I start them because I learn new things. And when I learn something new that works in my favor, such as my fish businesses in Canada being a grocery, so tax-free, meaning I never owe the government taxes like I did when I had bars and restaurants. They always owe me money. And you know, if you have to play the tax game, it's always better to be in the situation where the government doesn't have you over a barrel. Now, mind you, you're never going to get the government over a barrel, but at least it's nice to not have that problem to deal with, that, oh, I owe the government a bunch of tax money, they're going to shut me down now. Or they're going to lien on my house, or they're going to... First off, I always tell people, when you do a business in North America, incorporate, so you're protecting your personal assets. And of course, keyboard warriors will complain about that too, because they're too stupid to understand things. But the reality is, you got to guard your stuff. You got to guard your home, right? And having a business that doesn't do well shouldn't mean, like a hospital bill in America, that you all of a sudden are living in your car or in a van down by the river. So, nobody, at least that I know, deliberately opens a business hoping it's going to fail. Now, with me being over here, I understand, unlike in Canada, when I open a business, my intent is to get rich. My intent is to make a lot of money. Here, I know that's not possible for a multitude of reasons. So, yeah, if you're opening a business over here with your Filipino, like one of my little restaurants or a car rental place, or there's lots of things expats do over here. No, you're not doing it because you want to get rich. If you think you are, well, that's part of the problem. And that was what that guy I mentioned who had the sorry in the laundromat's problem was. And that's why he felt, oh, it just wasn't worth my time. And maybe it's not. If you're 70 plus and have 100K plus in your bank account, you don't need to be working. And why would you bother? Just enjoy your twilight years, right? I understand that. I'm 45, 46, and I don't have a pension. I'll never get a pension. So I'm always going to have some sort of plan to pay my end, right? To put bread on my table, to have a roof over my head. Now I have enough skills though, and originally I thought my children back home would be part of my retirement plan, being that they would all have businesses because I had taught them how to run businesses, and they would take over businesses I had already built, and things would be just fine. Now, as those who watched the blogs over the summer know, that's not the case. They have completely flushed everything I taught them down the toilet, and they did their best to ruin the businesses I left them. So I don't want to go where that guy's yelling again, so we'll go this direction this time. So what happens is, for me, I hope my next batch of kids here in the Philippines, with my new woman, will be able to carry on the businesses I built here. And because there's a greater sense of family here, and my kids had that great sense of family in the beginning. It was, and I don't want to point fingers, I really don't. But I mean, I'm going to say media at least. I won't go into all the other things I think, but you know, the media poisons your children against you in the West, or against the old-fashioned ideas of success, hard work and education, because they don't even offer real education there either, just like here. The education's a scam. So it's one of those things where, you know, all these people graduate and they have to go get minimum wage jobs, just like here. I met so many mall workers in Gensan who have amazing degrees, and they're janitors in the local mall, right? I mean, because there just aren't good jobs here. There really aren't good jobs anywhere anymore, unless you're in a specialized field, or unless you have some sort of unique industry. Like if you're in the gas and oil in Alberta, sure, you're making good money, you know. And that's the other thing, is I'm still young enough to do these seasonal jobs back home if I'm not going to run the fish. I'm only wanting to run the fish for two reasons. One, I spent 20 years building that industry up. I have a lot of loyal client base. I mean, so much so that they pay in advance and I deliver to their door, right? I don't even need to have a store anymore. I refined that business to have the minimal amount of expenses possible and have the highest possible return on yield, which is how you're supposed to run a business, in my opinion. The idea of paying lots of overhead for a business is just crazy to me. So that being said, here in the Philippines, your overhead for anything is ridiculously low. So you can do it as a hobby. You can do it as a pastime, because like even in Gensan, I only had 1 month where I actually profited on the books. But the other side of that is when I didn't profit, I was never losing more than $200 or $300 a month, which is what it was costing to feed me before that. And at least now all the food I was eating was from my own kitchen. So I knew it was clean, solid, safe to eat food. Whereas, you know, when I was eating from street merchants and eating at Angel Burger, like, there's one woman in that booth. She touches the money, she touches the meat. The money here is dirtier than any bill you will ever see back home. I have seen bills that are just literally almost already turned back to earth. But they're still legal tender here, and people will still trade them back and forth. I guess the banks don't, like in our countries, take the old bills and destroy them. So that being said, do you really want that woman who's stuck in a booth for 12 hours, because they're 24 hours and they do 12-hour shifts, making you your food? Now, there's nothing wrong with the woman. She's just making her food. But even the little hand wash thing has only got cold water and there's no bar soap. But I never ever seen one use one yet. And like I said, for my first few months here in multiple cities, I was on an Angel Burger because it's ridiculously cheap. And sure, I didn't get sick, but I have an iron belly. You know, I eat a lot of raw fish back home. You know, I didn't come from a silver spoon background. My birth background would be considered white trailer trash, I guess, you know, because my dad worked for a living when I was a kid, and he was a single father. But a lot of Westerners do have sensitive bellies here. And that circles back to what I was saying about the hardness of finding clean food and how so many of them are sick in their first few weeks here. It's from the food. It's from the water. So for me, with the restaurant bar thing, it's just a means to try and cut that one negative out, right? And I think that it can be cut out easily just by simple things. Like I said, I use soap when I do my dishes. I use Javix on my surfaces. I run it under the rules that a Western food establishment would have to honor to. I mean, if I ever built my own spot, I'd even have running tap water that's hot in the bathrooms, right? Just to truly make it a place where, as a Westerner, you could come in and it's not just a taste of home, it's the feel of home, right? And to be able to do that for, say, $5,000, let's say you go full sports bar with multiple big screens TV, jump that to $6,000. Because you can get big screen TVs here for like $1,000. I mean big, like 65-inch and shit, right? So, you know, you can buy one TV in Canada for that $6K, right? That's that size. Unless it's used. I mean, I haven't bought a TV in Canada in a long time, so I don't know. Okay, two TVs, maybe two TVs. But you're definitely not getting that size for $1,000 in Canada. So if you're doing that kind of big sports bar with all of the amenities, and you're still coming in 4 digits, even if you don't make your money back in the first 6 months, like that guy, he complained and closed everything down. Had he stuck with it for a year or two, he would have eventually broke even. And he would have built a power center. See, I didn't touch on that in too many videos. And I don't really think I should get into it in this one, because we're already at 27 minutes. So if you've stuck around this long, I don't want to burden you with another 20 minutes explaining to you the hearts and minds concept. Yeah, I use a lot of military terms. And I have people hate on me about that too. It's like, whatever. Like, they just find any reason to hate. And as I told Cal, because he's like, no one's got more haters than me. Okay. I don't care if I have haters. I prefer to have fans, but it's one of those things where I realize that the keyboard warrior people are normally losers living in their basements who have nothing better to do with their day. So they sit on their keyboards saying what they can to try and, you know, make themselves feel like they know what they're talking about and they're doing it well. Like some of the hate mail on Cal's second video that he showed me, I could diagnose those people right away just from their comments. Like the top guy was a guy who's sitting back home grinding. Why should he just cut and leave and go and get to have the good life there? Because I got the courage to. Anybody can. I mean, people are self-inflicting wounds on themselves staying back in Canada, staying back in America, especially if you reach pension age. Like, unless you have a loving family that you see all the time and you're going to like lots of good functions that aren't costing you money. Like the Italians, every function costs money for them, so it's like a little business within a business. If you're, you know, have that close-knit stuff, then by all means, okay, stay at home, watch your grandkids get old, blah, 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 blah. 85% of the older people do not have that. There are call on holidays, there are visit on holidays, if they're lucky. But their kids are pretty much just waiting for them to die to sell off their stuff. Yeah, they love their parents, but they don't cherish them. There's a word that I haven't used in a long time in the blogs. Because, hello sir, how are you? But it's just one of those things where you have a choice in oh, nice little aisle. We'll just take this little aisle. So it's one of those things where you have a choice to stay over there and still suffer all the time. Even if it's not suffering, it is suffering. You just don't even realize it. You come and spend 2 months over here, vacation, and you will see North America through a whole new set of eyes. And you will understand why many people come here. And it's not, I mean, there are guys who come here for the women, but as I said to someone who commented on my comment on this Filipino fun expat site on Facebook, run by a fun guy from Australia named Jeff. But I commented on a feedback thing because this hateful old crone of a lady just trying to trash talking about how all the Filipinos are bad and this and that. And I said to her, I replied back, I was like, well, I don't understand why they care. I mean, she's not trying to hunt for a man anymore. She's clearly past her prime. Second side of that is, why aren't the women coming here? I mean, to be over there and be miserable and old sucks, regardless of what gender you are. Like that $1,500 pension, which is the basic one that you'll see in North America, no matter whether you're a boy or a girl, you're going to live very, very, very comfortably here. Hey guys. Everyone's friendly. Everything's cheap. And that's right. So people say, well, then why aren't you succeeding? Why do you need money to open your bar? We'll circle back to that. Because I deliberately want out of Canada so bad that I'm not playing the rat race game where I stick around until I have enough to leave. And no, I'm not going to go back either. So it's one of those things where, hey folks. So it's one of those things where I'm going to tough it out over here. I'll do what I have to. Sell off my laptop. I'll last till Easter. And I'll go back next Easter. And instead of getting fair market value for my assets, I'll liquidate them. I'll just give them away to get rid of them. So I have the barest minimum. And then I never need to go back. Because I don't want to go back. I only went back because I was being screwed around with, as people know from other blogs, by the government of Canada, and probably because of who I am in Canada. And feel free, keyboard warriors, Google my shit up. There's still some stuff on there. My good old days with the Reform Party and with the original Conservatives before Harper, and some of the battles I've been in with Fat Man Ford. You can still find those links to obscure articles, but I have been pretty much scrubbed. The way the AI works in the modern world is once they want to cancel you, they do a pretty thorough job. Now, I love it because we're seeing the exact same thing happen to those people who hate on Mr. Kirk's killers and the fans of said people. Hey folks, how are you? But no, it's one of those things where, for me at least, I'm happier here, even if I'm broke. You know? And not because I have a wonderful woman and a beautiful baby. I mean, yeah, those are definitely huge bonuses. I love playing with my kid. I missed my kids being babies as they grew up. But I loved hanging with them when they were grown up. Like, I spent so much time this summer with my youngest son, Vic, who's like 12. I play D&D, as you guys know from other channels. What the show really is a D&D show. So I'm happy to do that. I mean, I like spending time, but in the same sense, I didn't like the craziness that you also have to deal with in the adult side of life in Canada, right? The idea that I'm supposed to comply if someone breaks into my house. Hells no. So, people leaving my house now. I've come full circle. Hello, folks. I didn't get the rice and eggs. I've just been vlogging. I'll go get that now. So anyways, it's one of those things where, you know, to quote Andy Dufresne, you can get busy dying or get busy living. And I'd rather be over here living or dying. And yes, I left the West because there is just no way in heck I was staying, even if I'm broke. Folks who want to stay there, I guess, like I said, it's self-inflicted suffering. And you know, part of what my plan is here is I do want to end up that I'm here all the time and I retire over here permanently. And yeah, I know there's no pension, so 5 or 6 sports bar restaurants that I run that pay my bills every day are fine. That's a 5. And then there's 10 or so franchised ones, a couple in Thailand. They got good connections in Thailand too. So it's one of these things where that should be enough. And I don't have to work every day as a overseer, as a CEO. You know, they don't work very much. They're like government workers in Canada. Not government workers, sorry, government politicians in Canada. Because a lot of government workers in Canada do actually bust their ass. A lot don't. That's true too. You know, the guy sits there with a sign when a droid should be doing it. But that's the thing, is so many things are going to change in the next 3 years, people. So many things. And in places like North America, it's going to make it even worse. They're pulling out their cameras everywhere, police state. They're trying to get rid of their currency, so everything's electronic, so they can tell you how much to spend and where you can spend it. They're trying to get rid of vehicles, private ownership of things. Like, I don't understand why anybody over there would want to live in that. So it is one of those things where I hope that my own friend base makes it over here, but I'm not optimistic on it. Some of them have squandered their whole life where they have no way to do what I'm doing. They don't have skills, they don't have assets, they have nothing. And then the other side of it is the other guys who have stuff are greedy. They suffer what I call dragon syndrome. They want more. So oh, I can't pull the plug yet. I need to put 10 more years in. You're fucking 50 now, bro. And you're busted up and broken as it is. Some of these guys already got bad legs, bad knees, bad backs, heavily overweight, addiction issues. Where do you really think you're going to be? What kind of condition you really think you're going to be in 10 more years of that shit? Like, it just boggles my mind how people make so many excuses to justify their own fears, to not come here, to not try. And you don't want the Philippines because it's a third world country, which it's not. I mean, these are the levels of their cars. Look, that's a brand new Toyota. There's a nice Mitsubishi. There's no rust buckets here. You get some old Jeepneys, which are like a public transportation, but it's more for nostalgia. They're running with modern drivetrains. They're not old junkers like you see in Canada. And yeah, sure, they're getting rid of the old junkers in Canada too, but for a different reason. So that they can put you in a car, they can shut off with a light switch from their bases. Where, oh, no, we don't like what you said on the internet, let's not give you privilege to leave your house and drive your car. Oh, no, you have an opinion we don't like. Or you didn't pay a bill. And everything's subscription services over there. You just constantly want to make sure that you have to work, you have to have an income in Canada. Here's the thing, if I had come here with even just $10,000, I would have been able to live like a god with my baby and my woman, traveling all around the country for the whole 7 months I'm back. That's what I mean. Like, it doesn't take a lot. It goes so far here. So when I tell people, yeah, hey, you know what? This is my Gcash. Throw me what you'd spend on a coffee. Well, if 200 people throw me a coffee, say you throw in some junkie's hat on your local city street back home, which is just going to drugs. At least with me, it's going towards, if you ever make it over here, helping to build what will be your home away from home, right? Place where you can get good, clean food, Western beers, cocktails, and it's a safe environment. First off, everywhere's safe here. The real negative here is the same negative I'm starting to find in Western bars, which is moochers. Whereas in Canada, they're drug addicts who will come in to mooch off you. Here, it's just poor people, who will come in and do the hand thing. So, well, it's raining. I've done 38 minutes. I don't want to make you suffer through anything longer than that, folks. If you made it this far, really appreciate a like, a thumbs up, or a comment. And if you're not subscribing, why are you not subscribing? It costs you nothing to subscribe. So hit that. And if you really want to see in real time, because next week, every day is going to be an amazing vlog, because I'm on major adventures this week, hit the bell. Have a good day, y'all. I know I'll try to.